wombo combo together with a shockwave.
Absolutely, and we are onto the Rift. And what a beautiful look at that trophy. The MSI one, I believe, if I've got that one right, of course, RNG. Current champions after an extraordinary time out there. They do get down to the
donating it to the NLC. So
well, the NLC trophy is worth more, of course, clearly.
Of course.
Clearly.
Yes.
And there is that, the pool party Oriana skin there for Ericsson. And maybe we ought to touch on Ericsson, actually, because, of course, for Vanir, last split, they were a team that really turned it on towards the end of the split. They did a pretty good job in playoffs. We had a lot of praise for them, I think, is the way of doing it. And, of course, that whole team has changed. Every single player is gone, and some of those players we're pretty excited for. Kraox, I think a lot of the analysts who were doing some of those tier lists, you know, like Veteran, Doctor, Viper, and Jamada, Don Jake, I think that's all the names I've got out there. Shout out to those guys. Rated this guy quite a lot.
Everyone but us?
Indeed, everyone but us. But on the other side, Ericsson was on Verdant, who demoted from Division 2 in the NLC. Really wasn't turning up. There's a lot of concerns, question marks on this guy. And yes, he's on a comfort pick, but this is not the easiest comp to play Oriana into in some ways. And this is a player who we have got some questions, especially now he's up at this top end of NLC play.
And Ericsson has always been the guy that always returns in the NLC, right? Always returns towards the Nordics where his roots are. And he has never been the sort of pop-off performance player like you see from Eminence with the solo bolos, but he's always been extremely consistent. And when the meta really favors him with his mages that sort of sit mid lane and like to scale, like the Azirs, like the Orianas, like the Victors, this is usually where you will see the better face of him. And that's what I'm expecting him to bring in this particular Vanir lineup. Now, the problem is, and you mentioned it as well, and I think they mentioned it on the desk too, you can very easily see what Singularity are trying to do, right? Pop is going to speedrun level 6, and then he's going to try to dive one of the two solo laners, either the Oriana or the Na, who are both extremely squishy. Now, your easier target, of course, would be after 6 to hit onto the Ericsson in the mid lane, especially if the shove from the Azir as well, which is going to be much easier to follow through. But it's going to be an extremely difficult task for Vanir to spot where Pop is during the game and also prevent him to from killing their solo laners.
Flash early on in this bot side after a good double knock up there from Zaremba. Of course, they are running that Zyra Khan, the Lovers duo, making their presence known nice and early on in this lane. The summoner down already for the Senna. And now a little quick roam actually for poor old Pop, who's going to potentially get found out here in his own Raptor camp.
That is so honestly well played from the sort of Vanir. We mentioned that it's going to be difficult to spot and contain, not actually spot, Pop after he's level 6. But if it's pre-level 6, you can try to enter and take the brawl to him together with the Wukong. And that's exactly what Kraox is doing.
Oh,
you know that their Zarya is safe since Senna doesn't have a flash, so Pop has to actually concede his red buff. They're actually being pinged from the sort of Singularity. This is going to be a big blow. Not necessarily because he loses his red buff, but because he loses that experience. And right now, Pop needs to speedrun that level 6 to start putting down the pressure with the paranoia on the solo lanes of Vanir.
Credit, though, where it is due. That was pretty well read from Pop not to get caught out from access. A lot of other junglers who just gone straight to that red buff and get caught out. That ward there as well. Did a lot of work to spot Zaremba going in, and that really helped out on the read. Pop, though, has come into this bot side. Maybe looking to see whether there's a lane gank available. You need to clear these wards, these minions out there first.
Yeah, his bot lane really needs to crush this wave, actually, so he is showing. Right now, I'm pretty sure they did see him when he walked out, so he really needs to help that bot lane push because Spiky does not have the flash up and available. You saw what happened to Venzer and FTG once they overextended onto that flashless Senna. They get instantly punished for it. So really nice hovering right here for Pop to try and make sure that his bot lane stays alive and gets farmed.
And for the sake of Singularity, or for the side of Singularity, perhaps that's a better way of phrasing this to begin with, this is a team that struggled last bit. They came dead last. It's a team that was a development roster, a lot of university players with a little less time perhaps to practice in a very difficult league, and honestly, they struggled quite a lot. They've switched out the mid laner, and Pop and a lot of the other players have a lot of praise for Piccione, but that's one new player with a roster that has largely stayed the same. This split, relegation is a thing. This is a split where if you don't make it work, you are getting demoted, and we need to see what this roster that's largely stayed together can do. They had strong words coming into this match, but I need to see them deliver.
Absolutely, and I think a bunch of the question marks were the drafts. But the only reason that the drafts were a little bit of a question mark is because the identity was a question mark. They didn't know exactly what style of League of Legends they wanted to play. They didn't know exactly who was their carries and who were the facilitators. Right now, we're seeing a more laid-back approach where the bot lane is going to play for scaling, and it's all about the top side of the map. I personally spoke really highly of Tatooine and said that this guy on carries, when he's been played for, he can actually carry the game. game. And here in the first game of Singularity with their brand new roster that they have, it shows that they are trusting Tatui onto the Camille to play onto a side lane and potentially shut down the Na. You also see Pop taking away any vision, making sure that Hester does not feel safe because he has a huge wave, he needs to crush it underneath the tower, but knowing that Nocturne is there, he cannot do so.
Needs to see what he can do to get out, hops down towards the river, is going to get hit by the hookshot, flash in, now needs to look for the fear. That's the flip that comes through from Tatui, but it was not enough to kill. Now Ericsson is here alongside Kraox. Double flash pop for just the single, and they're getting chased back under their tower. And in the bot side, more engaged happen. Yepe How rooted in place, the heal comes through, will keep him alive, but that's another summoner blown in this bot side.
That was a really nice trade, actually, though, onto Yepe, who doesn't have any pots left in his pocket if you look at his inventory. So that Vanir bot lane can actually shove in the wave really aggressively right now and potentially see the Vanir bot lane taking the first back, unlocking Zaremba onto the map on the Rakan, potentially looking for a pick. Maybe he can actually back right here, shoving the wave back and head towards the top side of the map instantly.
Another knocker comes through. Yepe pops the thick skin. Not going to quite get the root, but Merbs hopping forwards. Can't quite secure it, and that's Piercing Darkness offers a bit of a heal back, and Merbs in turn takes some nasty trades back and doing pretty well, at least in the bot side of Vanir, though. Credit as well over towards Singularity, who did manage to hold that wave outside of tower. And of course, the teleport's already been popped. They couldn't get the crash, could Kraox and Has0. And that leaves the Camille in a much better space. Port back on the farm, stole a little bit of that lane XP, which is no bad thing when you want that Nocturne level 6 as well.
Absolutely, and this is what Pop is chasing right now, right? He's chasing that level 6. That blue buff is going to be spawning as well, so he's gonna go chickens into Krugs, into that blue buff, so he is going to be ending up towards the top side of the map. They see him right now hovering the bot side, so they know that the second he hits level 6, he is most likely going to be towards the top side of the map, which is somewhere where Has0 does not have his flash up and available, right? You see that every time there is any type of pressure towards the top side of the map, it is going to be Has0 who's going to be the recipient of all the violence and the pressure. Even the Azir walking towards the top side of the map, you see how much this iteration of Singularity wants to play for Tatui. They put him onto that carry. They want to make sure that it's going to work out for them.
Spike and Yepe know their job this game. It is play as weak side as possible, but that's potentially great news for Vanir, who, you know, Merbs was this AD carry superstar down in Division 2. He was playing for Monster Rugby Gaming, and for the longest part of the regular season at least, seemed untouchable. This guy could do no wrong. He was a superstar for that team. Was some strong words from Porp and the rest of Singularity in the interviews there, saying, look, this is a guy who only plays a few champions and we think we can deal with them. So
I wonder if he hits level 6 from this.
He does.
Wheel, and there's a huge wave building up towards the top side of the map. S0, no flash, no Mega Gnar form.
This is a man who is at EU Masters and about to take a hefty dive, goes straight down. First blood to Tatui.
He doesn't have it.
And does still go down. Porp was inches away from getting out.
Okay, that was a little bit of a blunder in the communication right there, because if you allow Tatui to go in first, then you can use the Hextech ultimatum to drop the aggro and then allow Nocturne to get the aggro for you. Unfortunately for Pop, he didn't have flash to be able to flash out of range from that tower and allow Tatui to finish the job. But right here, Has0 still loses so much from this. You see that the Hextech ultimatum went down just as Tatui had already gone in. He doesn't have any mana, he doesn't have any flash to get out. So Has0, yes, he trades 1 for 1, but this is 2.5 waves worth of experience and gold that this Na is now behind level 7 onto Tatui's Camille, and we're gonna see even more hovers towards the top side of the map now that the supports are also unlocked on the map.
Yeah, first blood does go over because, as you said, at least Has0 does get 1 kill back, but the question is whether it'll be quite enough. Kraox does have Cyclone, but the whole of Singularity, aside from Yepe, are here at this Herald, down to smite range. Porp secures it, does, but now may be traded out for it. Flash forward from Zaremba, does get that grand entrance, shoved back from Piccione, does get hit by the shockwave in turn, but now manages to escape. It'll be a 1-for-none trade, but the Herald is secured, and I think Singularity will be okay with that.
Really good pigeon uses right there from Piccione to actually manage to get away without blowing his flash, which is extremely useful.
Oh, Tatui.
So next time Dragon comes about, oh, Tatui.
There's no flash, there is a hook shot, gets a stun but can't interrupt it. It's a decent Dawning Shadow though, he's still gonna fall. Wait, gets the adaptive shielding. Kraox now hopping forward, they do finally kill off Tatui, but there's a 1v4. Ericsson taken so down low, has to flash, but they're under tower. He needs to try and escape now as well. Look how low they are, but there's no way to follow, no way to get here, and they will get get out alive. No teleports or the like to get in behind, and they'll get the kill and back away.
Oh, that was a 4 versus 1. Had Spiky actually flash healed in this situation, maybe they would have even been able to pull the 4 versus 2 fight right there. But Spiky obviously doesn't want to overextend, lose both of his summoners for a chance to save Tattoo towards the top side of the map.
Merbs.
Because,
Merbs, he's just dead. He's gone. He's going to get devoured, and that is a gourmet dish. Fried chicken for dinner.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot we have 2 birds in this particular game. We've got Azir and Zaya, but back to the top lane, the only reason why Spiky does not overcommit to save his top lane is because both Nocturne and Senna will be there to soak up the experience and gold, so you don't necessarily need to care about this Camille too much, who is now behind in experience, by the way, from that dive. So as we see this again, they're doing the Rift Roll because they know they have numbers advantage, but Pop has to unfortunately sacrifice himself right there to grab the Rift Herald, and really well played from Pizione right there. He stays at the very edge of the shockwave, Spiky healing him up and providing a lot of sustain as well. And Tatui, unfortunately, is stuck versus 2 waves pushing against him and 4 angry members. But now it's Hes0, the recipient of the same exact violence.
They will teleport in, but the Herald's been summoned. That's a very low tower already. I think it's just gone. They'll prevent the dive, but not the fall of the first tower of the game. Yepe is left alone. They're still going to dive it, and they get the kill. They'll get the tower, and Tatui's still going forwards. Flash to land the hook shot. Ericsson trying to get out. It's a very amount of damage back, though. Flash for the shuffle. Doesn't make it work, and there's a Penguin typing his hat off. He knows that one wasn't quite what they were looking for.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, again, they shove even more money into Tatui's pockets on the top side of the map. They give him so much attention, so much experience, so much gold. Tatui now actually needs to perform. He needs to be diving the backline
Ericsson
and making people pop.
Teleport number 2 come through, but Ericsson is fleeing away. Nowhere out. The nightmares come home to roost. Hes0 is teleported back in, but that's a Mininar versus 4, and Ericsson finally is secured despite the earlier attempt failing.
There was an entire tower of tower plating going to the side of Singularity. There was 2 kills on the top side of the map, and the only thing that Vanir were able to take was just 2 tower platings toward the bot side of the map, whilst Yepe on the Tam Kent solo killed their AD carry under the tower. So
double teleport
as we
as
can
well.
see this
What,
again,
2 separate towers?
Yeah, Hes0 dives in for the Mega now, but I'm pretty sure he misses because he's trying to shove people away instead of shoving them in for the big shockwave to hit. So by the time the shockwave does hit, it doesn't matter because the Na is pretty much dead. And Tatui, of course, pushes forward because he does have the backup of his entire team. You see how much more put together this Singularity roster plays. They know when to push forward, they know when to approach a lot more fights, and you see how here they're wrapping up, they're pushing in the wave aggressively to try and dive Ericsson because they know he doesn't have his summoners up and available. Really, really well played from this roster. We had question marks, we asked a lot of questions. Vanir might be asking questions here too.
Yeah, Krox is going to go in with the Cyclone, but doesn't really get that much damage. In goes Zaremba, gets the charm with the quickness. Yepe taken pretty low now, pops a thick skin. I think he might be just asked to die. Does indeed. Singularity get the dragon, but do lose a kill in trade.
It's fine, you lose your Tam Kets, but at the end of the day, you do manage to get the Dragon and you can start stacking them slowly but surely. Spiky, of course, has to respect the fact that he's all alone down the bot lane, doesn't have the chomp from his Tam Kents to keep him alive, so he has to forfeit the tower. Now, what's happening on the other side of the map, because mid lane's not being shoved in by the side of Singularity, because Pizione had to actually back for a reset, and top side of the map is actually gone for them. They don't have a tier 1 tower, so they don't necessarily have to be wary of the rest of the map being shoved in, whilst they have committed 4 members of the team towards the bot side of the map. So that was a very favorable trade for Vanir.
And now the goal pretty much evens up again, slightly towards Vanir. And what it has been is a trade in priorities across the map. The top side of the map, very Singularity favored. We've seen those players go very, very well. On the other side, Merbs, outsider getting fried over by the Gromp, has gotten themselves a very hefty lead in the bot side. Very ahead of his...
Kent's a Gromp?
No, because he got, like, rather, Merbs got caught out by Gromp.
Okay.
Fried by Gromp. I see what you mean. Fried by the Gromp. It's still not making sense. Gromp didn't fry him. He was just next to the Gromp.
I thought Kent and Gromp were like relatives.
I get you. I see where you're coming from. I can see the confusion. I apologize to the viewers. That was not very on Gromp of me, though Merbs was on it indeed. Shout out to Orcs for that particular meme. Go check out his Twitter. You'll understand, probably, possibly. If you're not, that's fine. Just Google on Gromp and
maybe,
enjoy. There you go. Anyway, we're into the mid-game here, coming towards the 15-minute mark. Plates have fallen. It's a turret apiece. It's a dragon apiece. 1 Herald did go the way of Singularity, but the gold is pretty much dead even. difference here, though, is, of course, that they've still got this pretty nasty dive side lane, Copper and a Camille, with a couple kills who can definitely punish people. And Merbs on the side, Nazaya, who knew to position very, very well, was going to get very, very difficult.
The thing is that if you look at Vanir, they have a pretty nice teamfight composition.
Sure.
They've got the Rakan who can go in, but also peel, same as Oriana, Wukong. Like every single person in their team can provide engage and disengage, minus the Zaya, right?
Yepe.
Oh, they found Yepe.
He's going to be a little bit of overstep. That was a bit of a problem last split as well. They're going to try and turn it around, though, and he's still alive. In they go to the backside, but they've taken so much damage. Porp down so low, gets a fear, but not too much more. And Singularity saved their support, but now Tatui might be the sacrifice. And Merbs gets that one, a second kill of the game. This is a guy who's at 170 farm in 15.5 minutes. He has been power farming, and now he gets a couple kills on top. This Zaya, well and truly in this game.
This is very problematic because look at the bot side of the map
Yes.
as well. Vanir is pushing, shoving in towers. Hess0 was not even needed. That was a 4 versus 5 that Vanir were able to pull because that Zaya is so strong. Look at his summoners, flash still available. Look at his ultimate still available. It was just Porp diving all alone in the backline. And I was just about to say that Vanir have about every single tool they wish to have if they want to hard engage and if they want to hard disengage and protect their Zaya. And it shows right there. The second darkness goes down to try and protect Yepe, and Porp dives in the backline together with Tatui. All they have to do is peel for the Zaya. Everything is thrown onto Ericsson as well, who doesn't really care because he had the stopwatch, and Tatui ends up paying the price for diving in too deep, whilst Hess0 is catching up on CS towards the bot side of the map. So that shows you very well how very well curated that Vanir composition is. They can do whatever they want, and they have multiple sources of damage.
And look, we've appreciated the fact that Singularity look more cohesive, that their draft felt more on theme. It had a theme, even. And like, we appreciated that. Look, it's a comp that should work in a lot of ways. But on the other side, Vanir, this team of entirely new players coming together, have managed to get this guy who we were just saying was really, really good in Div 2, now continuing to be a terror, and they've managed to catch up the guy that was kind of falling behind. They've got the gold lead, they've got a dragon coming up in 45 odd seconds, and I feel they're in a pretty damn good position to make it stick.
Don't get me wrong, if you ask me, I am a huge lover for Senna plus a bunch of melee compositions because I just really love the spacing that Senna allows you, the fact that it allows you to move really deep, but also provides all this sustain and camouflage and the long-range ultimates that will support you in the backline. I love these kinds of compositions, but the thing is, you need to allow Senna to scale. You need to have Tamken's really tanky. You need to have 2 to 3 items onto your Pigeon in the mid lane for him to actually do some damage, because your damage right here is very situational. Tatui is going to go into the backline trying to burst someone together with Pop. If that doesn't work, you need some more consistent damage coming in from your Senna and your Azir, which is not there yet. Vanir, again, using their advantage on the map so freaking well, putting down the Rifter. They're like, cool, you can go for the Dragon. We don't care because we team fight better than you anyway. We're just going to take 2 mid lane towers from you.
Oh, that is a very nasty. It's only for a second dragon as well. There is that second tower. It's gone. And now can Vanir escape? In comes the Oracle. It's going to get a third charge. It is. Oh, my days. Another 2/3 of the health bar of that tower goes down. 2.5 towers just like that.
For a dragon, that is so worth it for Vanir. Again, they know where their strengths lie. They're only 2,000 gold in the lead, yes, but that's because we haven't necessarily had too many team fights for there to be too many kills. We're 18 minutes in, only 9 kills into this game. Everyone is taking soul because Singularity have their Sen and their Azir that they want to scale into the late game, but Vanir have a beautiful team fighting composition drafted for themselves, so they don't care no matter how late game this team fighting goes, right? Because no matter what, Tatui and Pop are going to have to dive the backline, and then there's so much peeling from the side of Vanir to keep the Zaya alive, and if they can't, he has his own ultimate.
And this is a Zaya that has been quietly funneled so much gold. It's right at 90 minutes. That is obscene. That is something we've seen really prioritized and popularized by the likes of Gala and Ming for RNG. That's how they got Gala to be an absolute monster. Anybody who was watching MSI could tell you Gala's Zaya was just a thing of beauty. Now, of course, Merbs probably isn't Gala, but the point is still stands. He's got 2 items. Yet. You know, maybe this is the next Gala. Who knows? This is a guy who's really stepping up here in his first game at the NLC Div 1, who has managed to get themselves that 2 items, got so much farm, and is thus far delivering on the resources given to him.
Yeah, and I just really love the way Vanir plays macro as well, right? They're putting Ericsson towards the top side of the map where they have completely lit up in vision, so Ericsson cannot get ganked because, you know, when you have a Nocturne into the game, he will usually hover around in the jungle and not show, or even come from lane, right? And conceal himself to try and gank a side lane. But right now, there's so many wards that Pop cannot walk in undetected.
Thinking about it, though, it's been a little while since Singularity have pulled the trigger. And they're going to need to at some point soon. Because honestly, Vanir have had the run of plays and the map for the last 5 to 10 minutes. And Singularity have been on the back foot for that time. And honestly, yes, you've got some scaling. Senna, Azir, I will never count their scaling out, but I do need to see some proactivity or their map is going to get increasingly small, increasingly dark.
Yeah, that's where it is. They try to gank Hess0 towards the bottom of the map because it's now all alone, but unfortunately for them right now, Hess0 is Megana. Tato's going to find him. His bar is going to go low, and it could have been the point where you want to attack when Hess0 is Megana. You attack him together with Camille and Nocturne from long range. But look at the top side of the map. You do this, and two of your carries so bot lane, and the Baron can very easily start for the side of Vanir.
And credit as well to Vanir. Croaks heads in and makes sure there's very little for Porp to take, but all the while Yepe is being picked again. It's been that way since lane flashes out, but now actually the damage turning around could be so much damage onto Rakan, who's dead. Zaremba is gone, but now Porp is in a very tricky position, teleporting in onto the midwave. That will be a flash and an ultimate, and now the Cyclone as well, trying to kill off the Nocturne, who does so much back. Flashes out, still alive. Porp gets out, and now in comes the Hextech ultimate. Yepe is here as well. Ericsson flashes and still dies, and suddenly two are dead, and the Baron's a possibility for Singularity.
Oh, the Baron is a possibility, but the bars are very, very, very low. And how much can this Senna sustain? Because Meganar is coming in, Kraox is coming in with the Wukong, and Merbs is still alive. They have to disengage.
They do. They've got the ultimate, they got the flash, they got the heal, but they did not get the kill, and that Xayah being around is still a problem. They'll take their kills, but they can't convert it into an objective, much to Singularity's frustration.
That shows how beautifully you can play with Senna compositions, right? You can dive in, you can back out, you can dive back in, you can back out. This back and forth, this peeling and kiting and forcing fight is just so beautiful to watch when you're playing together with a Senna and a Tam Kent. Yepe literally face checks two members. His face 6 Merbs, takes damage from like 5 feathers being pulled back on him, and still comes out unscathed. Of course, loses his flash, but Vanir loses the support for it, and then Pop plays in the front lines for so long, doesn't end up going down, gets ignited, gets engaged on by Kraox, and then ends up flashing out the shockwave, and Tatooine goes back in. And even though Singularity are dancing on the lines of going back to their fountain in a grey screen, this Senna is just keeping them alive.
And honestly, I want to give credit to Singularity, because this is a team we wrote off last split. And yes, we kind of had this moment at the beginning of last split as well. Vanir versus Singularity, first game of last split, was an absolute barnstormer. It was so good. And we had some hope, and then it kind of died a little bit. But honestly,
a little bit.
this game has felt like Singularity are in it. They are playing cohesively. They are at least making some good proactive plays. Yes, Vanir are a new squad. Yes, we've got some question marks about how they'll perform as yet as well. But this is what I wanted to see from Singularity if they were going to keep the players, especially with things like relegations looming potentially at the end of the split, should their performance continue on the trajectory it had.
Yeah, and I feel like here Singularity just have to give this one up.
They're going to have to.
Mid lane, try to take tier 1 tower. That means that immobile targets like Xayah or Rihanna will not be able to push too far forward, but instead they want to put down pressure on the Baron. Of course, with the blue ward being right there, it's going to be spotted. But Singularity, I feel like mostly want to try and start to find a fight. Hess0 though is just about to go Megana, and that's not very favorable for Singularity.
It is not. They're going to spot out the bush. The Baron pit is dark and full of terrors. Singularity can look for the turn. Look at Tatooine on the side as well. There is a Hextech ultimatum angle going in on Ericsson. He's the man. Meganar is there, but down comes a dive. It's too far. They're gone. That was always the possibility. Meganar into all the feathers, and they are shredded. Birds of a feather will die together, apparently, in this game. They're going to start hunting for more. 3 members of Singularity against the full force of Vanir. Zaremba's in, gets a knock up. Yepe goes down, and the moment I praise them, they overplay the Baron.
We mentioned it, you cannot walk into Hess0's Megana. They saw him in the mid lane, he was just about to transform. Now Pichon and Spiky, I don't think they should get anywhere near this Baron to try and potentially steal. Vanir, like, look, Hess0 again about to transform into Megana. You cannot walk in. The only only time you can play this is if you play the back and forth for Singularity. And again, these are the holes and these are the questions that we see from Singularity from last season. Again, Zero right there, and Rakan, Megana and Rakan protecting their carries. And the only reason that Tattoo and Pop got out of the last fight was because the Senna was close. Nobody was close in this fight. It was literally a 2 versus 4 because the second Tattoo and Pop jump in, everyone piles on top of Merbs trying to protect him.
Megana into Shockwave, into Blade Caller, and suddenly you have no health bar left at all. And then it's just a 5v3 rundown with a little more to be done. You've already burnt all your ultimates. It's pretty easy for Zaremba, Merbs and crew to come in and claim another kill on top of the 2 you already got.
And now it becomes very difficult, right? Because Zero has already been on a mission, pushing on the side lane, while the rest 4 core member that Vanir have is pretty undiveable. We saw how easy it is to peel for Merbs. If nobody can peel for Merbs, he has his own ultimate and heal available for him, which means have Zero on the side, 11k versus 6k for the Senna as well. And yes, of course, this is not a farming Senna, this is a fasting Senna, but still you're expecting you know, the scaling to come later and the damage to come in, but this is like almost 5,000 gold. This is Solari Senna. I mean, this is not going to be much damage at all. And like, I'm sitting here scratching my head because I'm like, okay, this Nocturne build in Frozen Heart, big value, into 4 members, into 3 members from the side of Vanir. I understand that, but then your damage starts declining really quickly the second that the Senna does not build full damage as well.
You've got to wait for Azir to hit critical mass, and I just don't know if you're going to get time. Infinity Edge on Merbs, who is continuing to be well ahead of that 10 CS a minute mark. Kraox does take a pretty hefty chunk from said Azir. Maybe I spoke a little too soon about that critical mass statement, but Inhibitor Tower is broken. Has Zero nearly at Mega, so I don't think he's at any threat here, and they'll hold on to the Inhibitor itself, but the tower is gone, and the map itself very, very dark. Objective bounties are now online for Singularity, and you can see our analysts backstage as well have heavily thrown that momentum meter in favor of Vanir. Singularity looking like it's an increasingly difficult map state and game state for them to come back from.
I just understand how Singularity want to be extremely tanky, right? Because at this point, Singularity can just chill back. They already have 2 dragons, and they can actually play the game where they allow Vanir to engage onto them, pop down the darkness, and just start playing the peeling, kiting composition together with Senna. That can work for you. But if Vanir can find avenues like taking the Baron and pushing down, and you have to walk too close to the wave to try and wave click because you have a bunch of melees in the Senna, then it's going to become that much easier for Vanir to actually engage on you and find these opportunities. Like, look again, Vanir are playing this game where they put in 1 man on the side lane. This man has teleport, has flash available, while Singularity are forced to play as 5, which means there is no one to gank Ericsson towards the top side of the map. No one that is actually a threat to him.
Not right now. And just look at that red side quadrant of Singularity as well. There are wards everywhere, just littering the whole of the jungle of Singularity. They're adding them now to the blue side as well, and there's 30 seconds until what would be a soul point for either side, and I feel Singularity just not in a position to contest. And honestly, yeah, there probably is an angle where you just wait. You just wait for that soul fight, and you say, look, I want to get a 3rd item, I want a death cap or something on this Azir, and then we can look to turn it around. But it feels like a bit of a reach to even think about contesting this one.
I don't think in 5 minutes, when Soul actually comes out for the side of Vanir, you will have a death cap onto this.
I know.
It's a little bit of it, but you might have a needless large rod somewhere in the inventory.
Just saying, Piccione hasn't bought in a while yet, so I don't know if he's got NLR money in inventory now. Maybe.
Let's see. Maybe if he goes back now and he has 2 initial large rods, maybe it's a stretch to have a death cap as well.
Stop throwing all these facts and logic at me.
He will have 1 needless large rod. There you go.
So he needs to get what, like another 2,500 gold, something like that?
That's easy.
He's got Futures Market, maybe.
As well. There you go. Okay. There's your rod.
Okay, maybe.
No hat yet, but the rod is there.
No, look, how 2 rods turn into a hat, I don't know.
Like a child, you kind of like, you're like, yes.
Look,
yes,
Futures Market and an absolute funnel. That's how you do this. You've got 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes
to
plus a teleport. And you can stretch it because you've got teleports. You don't have to be the minute earlier. So
I wish as we're casting, like production could pop these up, you know, on screen. It's like, can't he get the death cap? 4.5 minutes.
All right, chat, work it out. I'm clearly wrong. I feel there's very little chance unless there's some extreme numbers of kills to just go over. There's objective bounties. Maybe he gets mid tower and the objective bounty there. Maybe that helps snowball it. But maybe you sell Dark Seal and Corrupting Pot. I don't know. It's not happening. I think it's
sell your boots.
I don't like just sell it all. Get the death cap. That's what it's really here for. League of Legends real estate management. Don't you...
reel you back. I'm reeling you back.
Okay, where are you taking
reeling
me?
you back. I'm reeling you back. Okay, we're back in.
Yes, hello.
I am seeing a huge problem
Are you?
when it comes to Singularity's itemization right here. Again, I am just not seeing the damage. I see the survivability, I see the tankiness, but when it comes to damage, what have you got? You need to wait for Vanir to engage on you, but Vanir don't really have to do that. They can just chill at Baron, take Baron, and then you're gonna have to engage on them again. And you see how well Vanir has been playing with vision. The entire top side of the map is lit up in pink wards. From the side of Vanir, they know exactly where Singularity are playing from, and then we also talked about the peeling and engaging composition that they've also drafted for themselves. So when it comes to like playing these team fights, the Vanir composition is obviously superior.
Ooh, Flash, Cyclone. Speaking of superior, that's going to be a decent shuffle, but it only really gets one. Yepe stays like Porp just about gets out, and maybe this turnaround can come through Krayox. So down below, Hezura gets in and secures the Azir. Bird is the word, and the word is in an obituary, apparently, as Tatui will stopwatch the command attack. Dissonance. Yepe is dead. Zaremba keeps hepping forwards, and it's Spiky alone trying to get their way out of dodge, and they're just going to keep hopping forwards. The counter engage just wasn't enough, and Vanir find the match. They will not allow any scaling, and they will look for the win here in this second game.
And I'm gonna stick to it. Superior is the name of the game for the composition. Vanir have drafted themselves. It was easy to play these team fights. They played with their vision. They played good macro. They never overstepped. They never made mistakes. And Vanir are gonna keep that good name that they had from last split.
When you get a Xayah at 11 CS a minute who will not die, this is the kind of game you can have. Singularity